Welcome to Commerce Media Matters, your go-to podcast for unpacking the world of commerce media. Here, we catch up with industry leaders on news, research, insights, perspectives, and everything in between.
Hi, I'm Paul, Chief Growth Officer at Voodoo.
And I'm Nick, Founder and CEO at Voodoo.
Today, we're joined by Jessica Gilby from Corp Australia, someone I've had the pleasure of working with for many, many years during my time there. She has led commerce, partnerships, and performance strategies across the business, and now, as General Manager of Digital, oversees how News Corp delivers integrated client solutions across content, data, video, and technology.
And she's been at the centre of some standout work in that space, including campaigns like Moet and Chandon and Mattel, showing how publishers are evolving and connecting premium content with real commercial outcomes.
So, Jess, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Nick. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you.
Now, Jess, it's true. We go way, 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 way back. We've worked on a lot of projects together. I've seen up close the work that you're doing across all the digital media assets that News Corp has, the content assets. As we both know, the first ever shoppable ad that we won an award for, so all over commerce as well. Why don't we start there, where you think commerce media at today, from your perspective, and certainly, maybe think about the influence that content has on delivering commerce outcomes. Because I think that's kind of the bread and butter of News Corp, and certainly checkout.com.au and all the things that you guys are doing really well.
Let's start there. Also glad you didn't start with a few stories that are not for record, but yes, we do go way back.
That's the after hours version.
There can be an after hours version another time. What I find really fascinating and also a little bit frustrating is that a lot of the industry is still treating commerce media like a bolt-on.
Yep.
Like you can take an existing campaign and stick a buy now button on it and call it commerce media.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really not it. That's what it was probably 4 years ago when we started trialing and experimenting. But I think the real opportunity still exists in what the original theory was, which is how can we collapse the entire funnel from the moment someone's inspired all the way through the transaction with a single experience. We've proven that that's possible together. And now it's just about how do you make that extraordinary and more integrated. Mm-hmm. That is all true, but I think the biggest gap isn't about capability. The tech clearly exists. It's actually about mindset. And brands, still brief for awareness or conversion. Publishers like us ourselves still sell on reach or performance. Mm-hmm. And the industry hasn't fully caught up to the idea that you don't have to choose. Like we learn in a university degree or mini MBA about integrated marketing campaigns, but none of us are really doing it.
Yeah.
Or if we are, it's on more of a rarity. So I think where we're going in content is about, inspiration to intent, which is nothing new. Paul was there when we designed it. He may have been the architect of it originally.
Oh, you're too kind.
What a shout out.
I'm here I didn't get paid for that one. Don't worry. Just give me some bonus at the end of this. No. So I think where publishers need to really focus is how can they enhance their content experiences to be more underpinned by technology that integrates solutions rather than just thinking about commerce media as a bolt-on.
Very well said. So much to unpack here, Jess, because I feel like you've been at the forefront of this and deep in the weeds. And I must admit, we've actually worked together quite a bit as well. But let's go back. There's no doubt News Corp is an early mover when it comes to working with commerce media and Voodoo, and specifically around this campaign that we launched back in 2022, which was quite groundbreaking at the time.
Was it that long ago?
I know. And surprising, at the time it was like a whirlwind, but it was difficult for a lot of people to understand. Like you said, is it performance? Is it brand? How does this sit? It was a fully integrated commerce campaign, and News Corp threw themselves at it. Moet and Don threw themselves at it, and it's as such, and so does Voodoo, and we won an incredible award. All of us won an incredible award, a Walk Award in Cannes for it. I'd love to understand, more about where News Corp's, come from then, and what else is on the horizon now, and what are you tackling?
So where we were with the Moet campaign was hugely successful. It proved what we were all thinking. It was a great test case because it showed not only luxury, but how to connect content and commerce. The results speak for themselves, not only with the award, but what they did for the client. If I think about where we're going, and we're not there yet, this isn't a plug for where news is today, but it's where our thinking is going. the elephant in the room is probably going to be AI, and there's like a lot of people, you can look very positively at what it could be, in how it could really truly connect the pipes and do what we've all been dreaming and imagining of, a fully integrated ecosystem. Or it could do the opposite and completely disintermediate publishers and be the one user interface for all. I think where we can actually show the true value is through commerce protocols. And so rather than going and thinking about commerce media as like a campaign tactic or a product launch, it's fully integrated and always on. And that really can be powered through those commerce protocols integrated into content. That's where the thinking is. It's going to take a lot of work to get there, but I see that as probably where the future is for what we need to do to be relevant.
And I think that's the vision we all set out on, and certainly what Voodoo was founded on, is that we believe that there's that content piece that inspires, and where we were losing people because of the friction points that from that inspiration to the end journey and the end transaction, that was the piece that we are trying to solve for. And so I think you're right, Jess. I think that there's some great results of the Moat and Shandong campaign, and that's because we moved that friction point and we were right there at that point of inspiration. And I think the role of premium publishers is still there, whether AI comes along or not, because I think content plays such an important part in discovery of new products, and I don't see that going away completely.
Absolutely.
And I think you guys do it better than anybody else. From my perspective, what are you seeing from clients in this space? Are you seeing them come back to content-led campaigns? I know that you guys are very strong with your native product. Is that what they're doing, or are they still doing the performance buys mainly? What are you seeing clients requesting in this space now?
Before we get to that, Ro, you said something really interesting about, the relevance piece. And I think there's this interesting statistic that we're really leaning into at the moment. It's probably outdated now. It was about 3 months ago, that 51% of like web traffic is now non-human. And so where we're starting to lean into is a concept that's probably still quite foreign to a lot of clients, unless there are some more advanced ones, which is your consumer or your first reader may not be human. And so what we're starting to talk to clients about and where their heads are at is, how do I optimize for both? How do I serve two masters? How is my content, not just in the paid ecosystem with publishers, but also in owned channels, legible for AI, which is all about your metadata, but then built for UX and, really great human design elements, interactive modules, freeform text, beautiful imagery. That is great for human engagement. The bots hate it. They can't read it. It's all JavaScript based. So how do we build an experience that feeds both?
Yeah.
Because that's what clients are really trying to figure out at the moment. I mean, a lot of people within the media ecosystem would say the same thing, that every CMO is quite distracted with where their CapEx investment is going in AI. And so clients, if you had advice or a solution, and it's not about understanding and being the AI tech expert, what we are is the input company, being the content for AIs to generate the best output for their consumers. And brands can seamlessly integrate into that. They've just got to have the right strategic approach.
It's interesting. I mean, we all saw the headlines with Robert Thompson saying about the input company, and that framing is probably what people are missing, what you just said then. So really insightful to see. And you got to hand it to News Corp that thinking is really cutting edge.
Jess, you've also talked about something that could be quite challenging too, right? Where you've got two masters. And I think that publishers to date have somewhat experience about creating that value for consumers and for your audience, and making that experience. And News Corp does it brilliantly across a number of lots of titles, but also you've become really adept at the metadata side. But now what you're saying is it's becoming more acute, right? Because they're kind of polar opposites. You're going to have to go deeper and harder on really understanding the human side to engage those humans and make that really kind of that experience really, really heightened. Then you got to double down and go harder on being able to be accessible to bots. And so it creates two vastly different skill sets within publishers. Do you think publishers have those skill sets right now, or do you think they're busily, putting those teams together?
I think publishers are really trying to not make the same mistake they made 20 years ago with search, and they're trying to, as quickly as possible, and it's moving even faster than what it did back then.
Yeah.
And they're like, how do we learn from our mistakes? And I don't know if anyone has the silver bullet. Globally, outside of ourselves, because I don't just want to make this a whole News Corp plug, even though we're doing some great stuff, there's some really interesting space that Future are doing, and they've come out, they've really adapted and built some tools, but they focus on publishing, but they also focus on dedicated strategic expertise in their business in order to understand inputs to generate outputs, which is very similar to, our global strategy. Locally, our 22 plus sites are crawled roughly 560,000 times a day. We have now 12 AI specialists embedded throughout our audience and commercial teams that are doing a wide variety of experiments to understand this. We're starting to partner with measurement providers, and we've got now proof of concepts live with clients in retail and travel to show that we can actually enable our branded content experience to be geo optimized. And so it's great for human design and still has all of our great native functionality and features for human consumption, but it's also AI legible. And that's really unique for us. And we're seeing some great results whilst it's only in a proof of concept at the moment, where we're trying to get ahead and see this as a really emerging space that we can capitalize in.
Yeah, that's amazing that you've showed those incredible insights and that you've got 12 dedicated AI specialists for this market here. It's pretty impressive.
Let's just pull on that string that you mentioned then a little. The brand experience inside AI is what the marketers are all a bit worried about. I mean, when I went over to NRF and the National Retailers Conference in the States, and that was the big call. It's like, we know we need to be inside the LLMs. We know we need to be there. But how do we show up as a brand for humans when eventually, how do I make that connection that I once have? How do I make my brand stand out over the next Sprockets brand? And so it sounds like that's what you were just talking about there, and that brand piece is going to be so important. Otherwise, the LLMs are making product decisions for us. And how do you tell one brand from the other? Is that something that you guys are really trying to hone in on?
Hugely. I think, the thing that can be lost in this space, and we saw this actually from WARC, was a piece of research that the brand and performance channels distribution still remains the same with LLMs. Actually, 63% of brand-based marketing is the most impactful on LLM responses. And I think everyone's going to try and tuck it out the window and think this is the new performance mechanism, but it's not. Webmutation, as we call it, or Mike Cook in our team, who is, our head of emerging
Shout out to
platform,
Mike. We know Mike well. We like Mike.
Expert in this space. He should be on your next podcast, by the way, because he is the deep technical expert.
Scary smart.
He's scarily smart, but he's incredibly insightful, and all the clients love him. But he calls it webmutation, where it's, what you say on your own website, which was important for SEO. It's no longer just about that. We've all seen the rise of UGC in the citation and visibility responses, but it's about government websites, premium publishers. So almost to a degree, if social and creators were the antithesis to publishing, LLMs are the rebalancing act, because they're starting to swing the pendulum back to publishers and the role that we play.
Okay. And so if we go back to the here and now and what you're seeing right now with what's driving results, we obviously see that we're building for the future. You mentioned all the experiments that you're undertaking, which I think is amazing that a business like yours is doing so many experiments. That's amazing insight. What is actually driving results today? What are recent campaigns that are driving the outcomes? Is outcomes still the thing that clients are craving and asking for? What's moving the needle right now?
Let's think about a recent one that we all did together, because I think it's the greatest example of when things that are better connected work really well. We proved with Moet that there was a theory, it was a concept that you could collapse the funnel in premium environment without breaking the experience. And the answer was very clearly yes. But it was essentially a single screen, single format, and single moment. Whereas the recent work that we did with Mattel was a completely different beast. So in partnership, mainly with, well, you guys actually, it's your partnership that ended up working across our network. 4 years on, how can we make this work across multiple screens? And using specific data sets, because we knew that that was important with the Afterpay media network. So multiple touch points being, recently we've acquired the Tubi business locally, so CTV, display and video, and show how all those screens could have an impact. And we, it was a full catalogue experience, letting audiences discover and purchase across a range of products for the Mattel brand with the same experience no matter what screen you're in. I thought that was really seamless execution and thinking by you guys.
And it seems like every time we do new stuff with you, Jess, we get nominated or win awards, because I think the Mattel campaign is been nominated or become a finalist in 4 of the categories for the Drum Commerce Awards. So
absolutely,
we're fingers crossed.
Well, thank you, and shout out to Andrea Hill, because we will be reminded of that if we don't shout out.
What I found really interesting about that campaign, Jess, is what you mentioned before. It was a full catalogue of products. And obviously you can't fit the whole catalogue of products in the initial ad execution. And so it was the technology that allowed people to interact with the catalogue. And that's where I thought the most interesting results were the items and the SKUs that weren't necessarily in the main creative were actually interacted with and purchased upon, and then we saw huge uplifts. And then the other thing I think was interesting was, as much as we're a digital technology business, a lot of it was a digital media campaign. The results were seen at the store level in bricks and mortar as well. I mean, there were so many aspects to that, but they were my favorite parts. But what about your thoughts?
I like in-store and online. So I think you're right. That's the best statistic to call out. It was something like 122% uplift in units sold across both online and in-store. I think Andrea, shout out to Andrea, did tell me that they sold out of certain SKUs that were advertised. So, you think about that. I think the vast catalogue and the technology you've built to make a really seamless experience is really important. Often we get caught on showing a specific audience, a specific product, and thinking it'll just work. But how are we filling that bucket still with product exploration that's much broader than what we think they're interested in, because we don't know all of the other signals that are contributing to that audience. And so your guys' strategy with making it more catalog based so that there was a broader range was absolutely the right one. And I think that's why the results have been so successful, because right now, as we talk about personalization and all of that stuff, and right audience, right time, right outcome, totally agree with that. But the right audience and the right outcome don't necessarily have to be so prescriptive. And I think that's what the catalogue experience enables.
Awesome. Now let's just touch on that, because you started talking about outcomes and some metrics that matter with regards to this specific campaign, because there were some really great outcomes, really great numbers. Like, if we could hone in on what the metrics that matter to News Corp, what can you share with us what really moved the needle?
ROI, just giving ROI back to the client.
Yeah.
Showing a return.
Yeah. Wins every day, don't?
Every day.
So, Jess, you just mentioned signals before, and I guess, part of the Mattel campaign, which was so great, was all the different signals that they got for insights, etc. And that's part of the commerce media promise. It's not always just about the purchase and whatever else. Is that something that clients are still seeing as valuable? I know you guys have a great tech stack when it comes to data and signals, etc. We're hearing overseas that people, like, that's where the AI companies are investing their money with businesses that have good, strong customer signals. Is that still something that the marketers that you're speaking to are utilizing and obsessed with?
Focused on? Yeah.
There was this interesting contrast put late last year of signals versus noise, and I think everyone has signals. It's about getting through all the signals to find where the insight or where the relevant signals are to focus, and I think that varies by category, by brand, by publisher as well. So I would say that whilst we focused on being able to cover data holistically, for us, it used to be the strategy of more segments, more audiences, creating more ability to transact on an audience. But what I'm seeing now is it's less about how many you have and where the value of what you have is coming into play and how you can justify that value. And so for us, we're now going, yes, audiences are important, but they're generated off context, great environments, understanding that. And that's where the uniqueness comes from. So the brands that know where the signals versus noise is and how to delineate between the two are the ones that are definitely winning in this space.
No, I love that. It's a great insight, signal versus noise. Therefore, what are the more valuable signals? I mean, you just mentioned context is obviously one that you're getting behind. If you hear the likes of MasterCard and Visa that are entering the agentic commerce world and looking to disintermediate a little bit, they're talking about the commerce signal being king. Do you agree? Is that just one dimension?
I think it's one dimension. I think it's looking at it too narrowly. And like we always talk about the bucket and we,
Yeah, okay.
why are we just reaching the audiences we know are in a certain stage? I think Edwina always talks about this in a really great way when she talks about the buyers of Vogue. And obviously Vogue is a very aspirational title, luxury, it always houses luxury brands. And she always says, an 18-year-old may pick up a Vogue, but she buys her Hermes bag 10 years later when she can afford it. But you have to be there at that 10-year point to know that she wants that Hermes bag.
Yeah.
She's not at that point in time buying that first magazine at 18, what would be called an affluent luxury handbag buyer. But if you don't have that relationship then, what bag is she buying when she's 28 and has the money to afford it?
Yeah.
100%. And circling back to what we were saying before, I think that's what marketers are saying when they want to be able to have that brand connection within the AI space.
100%.
Yeah. I think we always get obsessed with the new shiny toy. Like the marketing principles still apply. They just have to meet the new tactics, the new platforms, or the new technology that we have access to. But don't throw the fundamentals out. And also do a wide range of things. Everyone is now talking about the CapEx investment to have AI technology on their site to blah, blah, blah. It's like, just focus on your marketing strategy and how these tactics can be additive to, not if it's an and, not an or.
Good point. Yeah. Jess, retail media, right? It's the hot phrase the last few years. Commerce media, it's where it's kind of at now. But retail media is booming. It's a massive, massive market. It's not slowing down. Where do publishers like News Corp fit into this world? We know Voodoo, we believe they've got a very strong role to play. I think with the advent of with agentic commerce and LLMs, the renaissance, if you call it, after years of search and UGC of publishing being the input, as we know, I'm a big believer that publishing plays a massive role. But how does News Corp see itself with retail media? How does it fit in that ecosystem? And, what is their relationships with retailers and platforms?
It's actually a really natural segue for what we were just talking about with a different application to the bucket. Retail media is great. They've got transaction data. They understand a great deal about customers and segmentation. That's for an environment or a buyer that they already know about. And so they've really got an on-site strategy. There's vast capabilities within all of the retail RTMs locally. Some are much more sophisticated than others, but realistically, they've got their on-site or their owned channels quite figured out in what they want to do. I think there's a lot of growth still in off-site monetization and connecting their data at a customer, not necessarily just a SKU data, to off-site opportunities. And your technology could be the fuel that connects the whole thing, right? You've got an audience that is not yet has intent to shop with that retailer, but you're giving them an ad or a content experience. You're connecting the commerce capability, and then the transaction just flows through. That's where I think the retail media networks have a lot of growth and evolution to get to, is that locally in AU, there's a lot of focus on on-site.
Yep.
And of course, that's where they make their money. But to capture large degrees of clients or consumers that are not necessarily in market, they have to start focusing on offsite. I think someone that's doing it really well in the US is Walmart. I think Walmart has obviously had a fierce competitor in Amazon.
Naturally.
And they focused and really nailed some of their proposition. If they haven't partnered, they've acquired offsite capability They're partnering with technology partners. I don't know what they're doing with you guys. Hopefully something's in the works. Who knows?
Mum's a
Watch
word.
this space.
So, you think about that, and I really think it's about connecting that off-site to on-site capability with technology like yourselves, and making it really seamless. And then, of course, we probably haven't even touched on the measurement bucket, which is incredibly fragmented still.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely. So News Corp has the full scale of assets. They've, you've got the data proposition that we've spoken about. There's the content proposition, so strong. Obviously, big, high impact assets, both in print and digital. Tubi has obviously joined the fore, and we won the award with Tubi involved in that Mattel campaign. What's the big push that News Corp are doing in the market at the moment? What's the big thing that you think is next for you guys?
It's really what I spoke about earlier. We're really focused on how our content, our experiences can be the innovator in AI output. And so whilst I spoke about probably us as an input company from a content standpoint and how to generate an output for a brand, we're still also talking to a lot of advertisers, clients, brands about you still got to think prior to the prompt. And I don't know if anyone really has necessarily got that bucket.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Oh, is that your cat? Is that proprietary prior to the prompt? Yeah.
I love that.
Trademark it. No, I think I'll use an example of what I think worked really well. Like, I'm not that old yet, but I still follow Coachella, loved all of the experiential kind of activations that were there. And if you look at what Rode did, Hailey Bieber's the skin company, they had an amazing activation. What it did, it was the experiential activation itself that was there at the event, had all of the social media around it, got picked up by the news outlets, and now it's the number one cited UC brand in all of the LLMs over a 24 to 48 period. So if you think about that kind of ecosystem, the impact, everything you do prior to the prompt is still just as important, if not more so. So what you can do from an activation standpoint that gets you multiple touch points and commentary is the holy grail.
Yeah.
And then, you need to really start partnering with brands and technologies like yourselves to make sure that your content and commerce is connected. That's super important. And that can flow through to the LLM as well. And then think about endorsement. What brands could endorse you that would have impact on citation and visibility? And those are probably the three buckets that we're starting to experiment with without giving the full prompt away of what we're going to do in the future.
Yeah.
Wow. Jess, thank you for being so honest and sharing where you guys are at. The last thing we do, Jess, is play a little game. It's a little quick fire game.
Okay.
It's not too much of a brain teaser.
All right.
It's just a quick fire game of questions. We'd like to finish on a little high. So little fun things, nothing major. Like the first question is, what's the last thing you bought online? Those sorts of things. So we're going to play this game now. You ready? You've got to say the first thing that pops in your head.
Okay, but we don't need to give all my tricks away to Roger because he's telling me I'm spending too much. So don't get me in trouble.
We'll make sure he's not in the targeting pool. Yeah. We'll suppress Roger. Yeah.
Suppress Roger.
Here we go. Ready? What's the first thing you bought online? Last thing you bought online, sorry.
CSB activewear, color in matcha green.
Night. Oh, matcha green. What podcast are you currently listening to apart from this one?
This one, top of the list, of course. But Pivot. I love Pivot.
Yes. It's great, isn't it? Oh, Prof G, you. We nearly bumped into him once and we walked past Prof G. This guy lost his mind. He's like, where is he? Where's he gone?
What's your go-to online shop or store?
Mecca.
Well, good shout out to a great Australian business, Yeah, absolutely killing it. What a fantastic business that is. I've seen it. I've got an 11-year-old daughter. If I go to the shops, I spend a lot of time at walking around Mecca. Do you TikTok?
No, have never downloaded TikTok.
Have you ever bought anything directly from social media?
Yes.
What was it?
I've bought too many things to know exactly what one I would talk about.
Close your ears, Roger.
Okay, no. All right, hold on. Korean skincare.
Okay. There you go. Okay, and the last question, and a little thinking time if you need it for this one. What is the most memorable ad campaign? Is it something from your childhood that you connected with? It's got a great jingle or a great catch cry or it's just super clever? What's your most memorable ad campaign?
Can I do two?
Sure.
Okay. The first one, and this is because it's nostalgic. Does anyone remember the Fluffy ads, the detergent with the duck?
Yes. Yep, absolutely.
I loved that ad when I was little, and I still remember it, and I still buy Fluffy. Oh, I've done that for years.
Yes, of course.
So it's nostalgic. But right now, I think I still go and think about the Specsavers ads all the time. Their campaigns are awesome.
They're so simple and so clever.
And talk about activating it all the way through. Sponsorship of the referees in AFL and other sports was just so good. Got to go to Specsavers.
So clever. And I love that they do things that, are spelt incorrectly or what have you. I think their brand and their catchphrases lived on for something like 20 years. Consistency is key. The tactics have just changed. And I think that's been the theme of what we've spoken about today.
Consummate professional here.
Well, that's it. You're off the hook now from the quickfire game. Jess, that was such an awesome session. Thank you for sharing so much with us. It's great to have you on the podcast, and we look forward to winning more awards with News Corp in the future.
It's been a pleasure.
Let's see what we do next, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to the Commerce Media Matters podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow and subscribe. We're always on the pulse of the ever-changing landscape of commerce media, ready to share the newest trends, insightful perspectives, and expert opinions with you. Until then, stay curious, stay informed, and keep making media that matters. This podcast is executively produced and edited by Priya Tahazadeh, with co-producers Sandy Ho and me, Rachel Fang. This podcast is recorded on the lands of the Bidjigal, Gadigal and Wurundjeri people, and we wish to acknowledge them as the traditional owners of the land.